Hey booktube! Welcome back to my channel. My camera is trying desperately hard to try and like tone out the yellow in my hair, even though I have yellow hair, so I'm gonna keep this brief because I feel like the colour balance is gonna be one hell of a mess. So recently I read my first ever Joe Abercrombie book. I've seen quite a lot of videos like this on booktube about people documenting like the first time they ever read Harry Potter or the first time they ever read Stephen King. But we all know I am one hell of a fantasy loving bitch, so since Joe Abercrombie seems to be held in such like quite high regard within like the fantasy community, especially like the grimdark fantasy community, I thought that I would vlog like my live reactions as I read the book rather than just like a wrap up at the end. Mainly I did this because I actually met Joe Abercrombie twice. Both times before I read his books, which is kind of awkward. First time I met him, I had never read a page, and the second time I met him, I think I was like 30 something pages into the blade itself. So he was very nice about it. Essentially he was signing in my hometown, but it was just a signing, although he was also doing like an author talk, like chat and questions, and then a signing, and that was in Newcastle. So I went down to my local Waterstones, which is in Leeds, and I took along like my collector's edition of the First Law trilogy, and I took them to get those signed, and it was great. But then I had to go back to work for several hours, and then immediately after work I left early, put myself on a bus to Newcastle, went all the way to Newcastle on the same day, made my way to the Newcastle Waterstones, which was very fancy inside. And then I got to hear Joe Abercrombie do his talk, so there were questions, and he talked a lot about like his method and like I guess how he functions as a writer, which is honestly the main reason that I go to author talks, because while I might like the books, I'm more interested as someone who is like an aspiring writer to I guess just hear popular authors and authors that I like I guess admire or that write within like the same genre that I write, talk about like their methodology or their approach to things, I guess. It was really interesting and I really enjoyed it. And then after that, obviously, I met him again and got some more books signed, and surprisingly I didn't get any spoilers. I don't think I got any spoilers. And then I came all the way back to Leeds and got home at like 2 in the morning again. So I did read like the first, I guess, like chapter or 2 chapters on the bus. So I did read about like the first chapter or 2 on the bus to Newcastle, so I don't have like that footage or like that initial reaction. But I kind of got the idea to do this after I got home and realised I was like, I've kind of like bigged up these books in my head quite a bit, and now I've met the author twice in the same day, and I have a lot of books signed now and personalised to me by the author, so it's kind of important, I think, that I like them. It would be really awkward if I turned out not to like them, so hence why I decided to vlog the experience. So yeah, as I said, my shelves are a mess, so I don't actually know where any of my copies of the blade itself are, but like not really to spoil anything, but I ended up giving it in the end about a 4 and a bit stars. And I'll probably talk more about like how I felt about it at the end, but for now I'm just gonna roll the vlog footage. I didn't film that much because it didn't take me that long to read, and like I work a full-time job and I read a lot on the bus, so you got like the reactions from when I read at home. Anyway, I'm gonna roll that now, and yeah, enjoy. Hey! Oh god, I look awful. It has been a few days since I went to the Joe Abercrombie signing, which I travelled to Newcastle for, which is like why I look a bit gross. Usually after I like travel to an event, especially by coach, I tend to like feel really gross for like a few days and just sit in bed because it's kind of exhausting travelling like there and back in a night. Kind of the same that I did for Glasgow when I went to see Jay Kristoff. It's not that bad, but I am tired, hence the pyjamas in the bed. So yeah, I recently went to go and get my whole collection of Joe Abercrombie books signed, and I went and took these versions, like the beautiful special edition. I think these are like 10th anniversary or something. It is kind of weird that the author that I've now met the most is Joe Abercrombie, but like I still haven't read any of his books. But I'm going to change that. So I'm only about like 40-ish pages into the blade itself. Honestly, like, it's fine at the moment. I'm just like, I wasn't like that impressed with the intro. I guess most people tend to start off with like an action scene because it's like, hey, the rest of the book's gonna be quite slow for a while, so have an action scene first, because then you know that they're going to be in there and then everything can like slow down from then. And I feel like I've seen that a lot, and I saw it in this and I don't mind it, but like I'm not that impressed. Yeah, I think the next part with Glockter was like more interesting, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like more interested in his character, or like I haven't really seen the like inquisitorial tortury kind of thing much in fantasy. Like I've seen it, but never from the perspective of like a POV character. They've always just been like a backgroundy villain or minor character sort of type. So getting like a POV shot from that kind of character is not really something that I've read about before. I can't think of any other time when I've read anything like that, which is like, and maybe why I'm more interested in that, because it's newer to me. I don't really know if I've set myself up to fail, which essentially so many people have told me it's either like their favourite series, their favourite fantasy, or like the best book, like the best fantasy they've ever read, or like Joe Abercrombie is like their favourite author ever. And I don't know, it's not bad in any way, and like I kind of have to preface that, it's like there's nothing, I can't find anything like negative or bad about this book. Like it seems well crafted at the moment, but like I just don't see it. It just doesn't feel like it's anything special. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm just not at that point because like I'm right at the beginning. I'm worried that like maybe I'm just expecting too much. Like I'm expecting essentially like the best book I've ever read, and it doesn't immediately feel like the best book ever. And like that's just, at the moment, that's just kind of like my lasting impression of like reading this on the bus. I just kind of had this awful feeling of like, oh, am I going to be like really disappointed because like I've set my expectations too high, and like this isn't going to be my favourite book ever. And so even though it's a good book, I'm constantly going to be disappointed because I'm expecting something like so much better, and it's not going to be that for me. And I don't know if maybe I've set myself up to fail in that regard. I guess I'm gonna keep reading and check in about how I feel, like, I don't know, I guess reading my first ever Joe Abercrombie book, so we'll see. Hey guys, I just got in from work, which is why I'm looking like really not the best right now. So yeah, please excuse like my Starbucks cup and everything. This is not a professional filming setup. So I'm a little bit further than I was last time. We've met Giselle now. I don't think I'd met Giselle the last time I made one of these. I don't remember. I didn't read for a few days, and then I've read like little tiny dribs and drabs, so I'm not that much further. Oh, and I've switched to the paperback because of work and travel and transport, and I really didn't want to like lug a big one on the bus, so paperback. I'm liking it a lot more now. I'm not really sure at this point like what the individual plot is, but like, I don't know, it's entertaining. Like I'm enjoying it more, like the individual like bits of it I'm enjoying more. I don't know if this is the case with like all of Joe Abercrombie's writing, but it feels like I'm reading like lots of individual stories rather than like one overarching plot, and like I'm sure it's all gonna join up eventually, but at the moment it seems like three pretty distinct like stories. So like even though I'm like maybe about like 100 pages in at this point, it kind of feels like I'm still right at the beginning, because even though I've read that much story, the three like individual stories that I'm reading are still right at their beginnings each, because it's like being 30 something pages into three separate books all at once. That's kind of what it feels like. I will say that it's not exactly what I expected. I guess from like what I had briefly heard about like the first law, just from like the few times that I'd kind of briefly heard people mention about it before, I tend not to watch things about books that I haven't read yet, but the few things that I did hear, I guess I was just expecting like a lot more grimdark. I mean, Joe Abercrombie's Twitter username, I'm pretty sure, is like Lord Grimdark or something like that. So I mean, it is grimdark, but it's not just like as, I guess, the very highly like saturated like really grimdark that I'm kind of used to. It's like it's a more realistic and like refined kind of grimdark, but I'm guessing it's kind of because it's not like as bleak as what I'm used to being like grimdark meaning nowadays. So I'm guessing it's because it was like written maybe before. I feel like a lot of new grimdark fantasies like try to outdo each other with like how grim and dark and edgy and bleak they are, and so like it's like a really, it almost doesn't feel grimdark because of how like not overly depressing it is, but it is definitely grimdark because but in like a realistic way. So I guess I was just expecting something different because of like my understandings and like the things that I'd heard, I guess. Also like a humour to this, which I think comes from like the POV characters' voices being like interwoven like in the narrative voice, because obviously it's told from their perspective, so there's like humour that comes from that. The world is just like much less bleak, and the characters are much more, they're kind of like less stoic, I guess, than I expected, again because of the whole grimdark thing. So like I'm not disappointed, I'm just like, I guess, shifting my expectations because I don't think I had the right grasp of what this series was going into it. And I'm still liking it so far, and I feel like I'm getting like an idea of like Joe Abercrombie's like writing style. I still don't think it's the best book I've ever read. Like I can definitely see why some people like it, and I'm definitely enjoying it. I don't know why it's taken me so long to like read through this book. I say that, it's not been very long at all. It's been like a couple days since I first started it, but I kind of guess like the only thing I can do is just like keep reading, and I don't know, like maybe it gets better. Like I know the plots are going to converge at some point, I don't know. I'm gonna go read. I am back and feeling gross. So update on this. So we have some more POVs now that we're further in. which is fine. That's kind of interesting. And even though there's so many, like, they don't feel disjointed, which I guess is good. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how everything will like come together at this point, especially because like now we're adding more in. Obviously, forgot to mention Logan's men are still alive, which is, I mean, I like that. I kind of like had it in the back of my head because like he didn't find them or anybody's, and I know that that's like a potential thing, but like usually if someone dies you see it because like it's a grimdark fantasy, so like if there's a death you're gonna see it, you know? So like everyone is doing their own thing, and you kind of get like obviously all these like little hints that everything's going to tie together in the end, especially with like these two weird like mage people. I know there's like Baez, who is like mentioned in the synopsis, but then there's the other guy, it's called like Yulway or something, I can't remember what his name is. I don't know if they're like kind of the same, I don't really know what's going on, but like there's definitely like some like connection between like all the different storylines at this point, which is great. I just kind of like them to like get together faster so that I can like see what's going on. I mean, like, you'd hope they come together, otherwise like what's the point? So like I'm not particularly impressed with like Joe Abercrombie's writing style at the moment, and like I don't really care too deeply for like any of the characters all that much, like not on like an emotional level, and the world seems pretty solid, but like I'm not that interested in it. Like I'm not that, I don't mean like it's boring, but I mean like I'm not constantly wanting to know more about like the world and what this is and what that is and what that means. Like it's interesting, but I'm not like obsessed with like the world building like I am with like some other fantasies. And there's like not much of an obvious plot to cling to, so it seems like there's not a lot to like here, but like despite all that I do actually really enjoy it, and I am like really enjoying reading it, like just the actual act of like reading it, and like just for the entertainment value I feel like it is very like interesting and like entertaining just as a story. The events, like even though everything's like really small and everything feels like it's still beginning, like it all feels, it's still all interesting like as a story just to read, and it still does feel like really entertaining, and like I am really entertained while reading it, so like it's not boring or disappointing at all. Also, while reading this, take a shot every time you read the word piss. You will literally die. I feel like I've been reading this book way too slowly, so that's why today, and I sat in my conservatory and I read like the last like 200 and something, like just less than 250 pages that I needed to read. I'm kind of really tired right now and kind of like a mess, and like I'm really sorry for bringing you my here's the makeup I had on yesterday face, which is, we love that. But, like I'm a bit tired and I'm a bit worn out, but like it was so good. I still honestly have like really no idea what's going on. It's weird to say that at the end of a book, but like obviously I remember everything that happened in this book, considering I just like read most of it like today. So like I know like how things ended, and like I kind of like get what's to come sort of, but like I have no idea what's gonna go on. Like I get an idea like based on the journey ahead and like all these like references to like the maker and like that fight and like the missing seed thing and like the box and whatnot. So like, and oh, and the war with the North. So like I get all those things are like they're all coming, but like I have no idea what's going on. I really have no idea what's gonna happen. So like yeah, that was the blade itself. Interesting. I don't really know how like I feel. I'm gonna have to do like my final thoughts on like another day, but like I kind of don't know what to like. It was good, and I feel like the series as a whole might be like amazing and could possibly be like, as a series maybe I'd be like, oh yeah, this is like the best series of all time, maybe. I don't feel it's good. I don't think it was like 5-star good yet, but then like as I kept saying, I'm pretty sure I kept saying like there was always this thing about it, just the whole book felt like an introductory chapter. Like if you were just reading like a story about like Logan, then most of his chapters up until like the point where he like starts to get where he's going and whatnot are all like introductory chapters, but that takes up like the first like what 100 and something pages of the book just to like get to that point, because obviously they're then reading like Glocta and Giselle, and then I've forgotten that girl's, is it Maljin? I'm really bad with names. And then you're reading about her, and then you're reading about Dogman, and it's like everyone's story kind of feels like it's just starting. There's like a load of like stuff that happens like at the end of the book, and it's like, okay, yeah, this feels like where the story really starts, because this is where like all like the big questions are, and this is like the big turning point, but it's the end. So I feel like it's hard to judge, because obviously if you had like a book per person it would be like a short book, yeah, but it would have more of like an arc. My camera died, so now I'm on my phone. Great. I think that's like time to end this video basically, but yeah, it felt like an introduction, so like I don't feel like I can like properly rate the whole thing yet. I think it's maybe like a 4-star book. It's definitely better than a 3 stars, but I don't think it was like quite 5 stars yet, so I'm still like trying to mull it all over in my head. I think when I read the whole series, like maybe it would be like really good, and I definitely like this book and it's a good book, and like you should read it if you like are thinking of reading it. I'm like, yeah, read it, it's good. But if I think of them if I think of it all as like just one really long book, potential, I don't know. Yeah, this is weird. This is like my first time reading Joe Abercrombie. That's like the point of this. I'm hoping all this is going to foreshadow me reading books like 2 and 3 and then being like, oh wow, yeah, best thing ever. That would be great. It would be like really great to have like a new favourite. So like I can see the potential. I'm just not there yet. Such a mess, and I'm going to do my final thoughts at a later point when I'm not such a mess. So peace out and look forward to that, I guess. Bye. So that was all the footage I took vlog style for this book. I feel like you can definitely see like my initial trepidation, I guess, all the way up to, oh actually yeah, it was a good book and I liked it, and I can like, I like that I can like track that. Because when I started reading it, I definitely did have a feeling of, is it actually going to be that good, or is it just one of those things where it was like, it was really good and fresh when it came out, and now everyone just always says it's really good, but it's not that good anymore. But actually it is still that good, so we're fine. Yeah, I did end up giving it a 4 and a bit stars. I don't know like how much yet. I'm kind of gonna treat the whole trilogy as like its own like entity, because I think you kind of need to. That's just how I feel going into it, and it's my rating, so that's what I'm gonna do. But at the moment it stands at like a 4 and a bit. Not quite a 4 stars, it's a bit above that, but it's maybe not quite like a 4.5 exactly. It's somewhere in between. Favourite character so far is definitely Glockter, and I really like the practicals as well. Like, I really like them. I really specifically like that part of the story. I really love all the characters there. I'm really glad that we got Malgin in there to like balance out the fact that it was all dudes. Like, I was like, there's a lot of dudes. Can we get some ladies in here? And she seems pretty awesome. I don't know exactly how I feel about her yet, because like, as a character she's really interesting, and I like that she's just this really angry lady. But yeah, like I don't think we saw enough of her for me to like really gauge how much I like her, but like I like her so far. I kind of hate R.D. West. I love the fact that she's just being an absolute ass to Giselle. I like the fact that she's like messing with him and being mean to him, because I'm like, finally someone's gonna like get one over on Giselle, and I like that about her. But I also just like, I don't like her as a person, and she really annoys me. Like, I get that she has like good reasons to be the way that she is, but I still don't like her. I enjoy her as a complex character, but like I don't like her as a person. I'm sorry. I think I just got really sick of all the complaints of being bored and alone. Like, I love being bored and alone. I love being left on my own. I hate when I have to interact with people. Cannot relate to R.D. West. Yeah, I think it was like a really well-crafted novel overall. I wish there was a map. I really wish there was a map. I'm just a sucker for cartography of all kinds. Like, I need a map. I love maps. Like, there's maps kind of on like the front of the collector's edition hardbacks. Like, there's kind of like a really faint map as like the background image, and I'm like, where do I see it? Where do I find it? I want the map. I just want to see the map. But like, I think I could tell that it was such like a well crafted and like so well thought out, because I could pick up on all the points, I think, where like things were being purposefully done, and I think I mentioned some of them either in the vlog or like in my wrap up. I've mentioned it before. I know I've mentioned it before. Yeah, I seem to like fly through the last half of this book, so I'm definitely really excited to read the rest of this series, and then like, you know, the other books that are set sort of like in the same First Law universe, and then move on to A Little Hatred, which I'm pretty sure is like a continuation. I'm just glad that I read this. Like, I'm glad that I kind of get what it's all about, and I am definitely looking forward to continuing. And yeah, I get it. Joe Abercrombie, a good writer. Like, I see it. I understand. Anyway, yeah, thank you for coming to my vlog, I guess. If you were interested in like more of like my more concise thoughts, I'm pretty sure I have a wrap-up that contains this in it. So if you were interested, you can always go watch that. Otherwise, I guess I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, I liked it. I understand why people like Joe Abercrombie. As funny as it would have been for me to go through all that to get everything signed and memed twice in the same goddamn day, and like, if I would have hated it, like, it would have been really funny and very typical of something to happen to me, but like, I'm really glad that I did like it. So yeah, I guess I can say, even though I've only read this one book, I guess I am now officially a Joe Abercrombie fan. Do his fans have names? Abercrombitches? That sounds like something somebody from Tumblr would say, so I gotta go. I gotta go. I can't come back from that. I've gotta go think about what I've done. Okay, I'll see you guys in another video. Peace out.